The crystalline spires of Zelthar Prime gleamed under three suns as Anna stepped off the human diplomatic shuttle. Oliver followed close behind, his datapad clutched against his chest like a shield. They were the first humans to set foot on the Velkari homeworld in over 2 decades. "Remember," Anna whispered, adjusting her translator collar, "we're here to negotiate mining rights. Nothing more." Oliver nodded, though his eyes darted across the alien architecture with barely contained excitement. The Velkari were an ancient species. Their civilization had been exploring the stars when humanity was still learning to make fire. Their guide, Ambassador Thelgsan, waited at the base of the landing platform. The Velkari stood nearly 8 feet tall, with iridescent scales that shifted between purple and gold. Forearms gestured in what the translator interpreted as a formal greeting. "Welcome, humans. The Council awaits your proposal." The negotiation chamber was vast, its walls covered in symbols that seemed to writhe in the filtered light. 12 Velkari council members sat in a semicircle, their collective gaze heavy with the weight of millennia. Anna presented Earth's offer with practiced diplomacy. Fair trade, mutual benefit, respect for Velkari sovereignty. The council listened with the patience of beings who measured time in centuries rather than years. Then High Counselor Zarthel spoke, his voice like grinding stone. "Your terms are acceptable. However, there is one complication." He gestured to the wall behind him where a massive stone tablet hung suspended in an energy field. "This artifact was discovered in the ruins of our first city. It predates our written records by thousands of years. We believe it contains the coordinates to a cache of rare minerals, the very ones you seek. But the language—" He made a gesture of frustration. "It is lost to us. Our greatest scholars have spent generations attempting to decipher it." Anna studied the tablet, her diplomatic smile fixed in place. Oliver, however, had gone very still beside her. "May I approach?" he asked quietly. Thelzan's scales rippled with what might have been amusement. "The human linguist wishes to succeed where our finest minds have failed." "By all means." Oliver walked forward, his footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. Anna tensed. They couldn't afford to offend their hosts. But as Oliver stood before the tablet, something shifted in his posture. "These symbols," he murmured, tracing the air before the glowing characters. "They're not Velkari at all. Obviously," Zarthel rumbled. "We have established this." "No, I mean—" Oliver turned, his face pale. "They're Earth languages. Multiple Earth languages." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of clicks and hisses. Anna's translator struggled to keep up with the overlapping voices. "Impossible! The human lies." "Silence." Zarthel raised all 4 arms, commanding quiet. "Explain yourself, human." Oliver's hands shook as he pointed to different sections of the tablet. "Here, this is Sanskrit, an ancient language from Earth's Indian subcontinent. This section uses cuneiform, from Mesopotamia, and this—" He leaned closer. "This is Nahuatl, from the Aztec civilization of Central America. But they're interwoven in a way that none of these cultures could have done. They existed thousands of miles apart, separated by oceans and centuries. You can read it?" Thelsan stepped forward, scales now shifting rapidly through colors Anna's translator had no reference for. "Parts of it, yes. Give me time and I could work out the rest." Oliver pulled out his datapad, fingers flying across the screen. "The syntax is strange. It's like whoever wrote this knew all these languages would eventually be connected. Understood as part of a larger whole." Zarthel descended from his seat, moving with a speed that seemed impossible for something so large. "For 3,000 years we have sought the meaning of this text. 3,000 years. His voice dropped to something almost reverent. "You understand the lost language of our ancestors?" "They weren't your ancestors," Anna said, the realization hitting her like cold water. "Were they?" The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Zarthel spoke. "We found this in our first city, but the first city was not first. Below it we found older ruins that predated our species' evolution. We assumed they belonged to some lost Velkari civilization, but the architecture was wrong. The proportions were wrong." He turned one massive eye toward Oliver. "The doorways were your height, human. Not ours." Oliver's datapad slipped from his fingers, clattering on the polished floor. "You're saying humans were here? On your world? Thousands of years ago?" "We are saying," another counselor interjected, that the evidence suggests your species may have walked the stars long before you invented your first rocket. And then, something happened. You forgot. You returned to your homeworld and started over. Anna's mind raced through the implications. The tablet. What does it say? Oliver retrieved his datapad with trembling hands, reading from his preliminary translation. It's a warning. And a promise. It says, "We fell from the sky, but our children will rise again. When they return, they will find what we left behind. We are humanity. We endure. We always endure." The silence stretched for a long moment. Then Zarathel lowered his massive head in what could only be a bow. "It seems, Ambassador Anna, that we must renegotiate our agreement. Not as a favor to you." His scales shimmered with something that might have been respect, but as the return of property to its rightful owners. "Welcome home, children of the first builders." Anna looked at Oliver, seeing her own shock reflected in his eyes. They had come seeking mining rights to an alien world. Instead, they had discovered that humanity's story was far older and stranger than anyone had imagined.